Hey guys, Savage Recover here, back with another video. I have a topic of what it's like to be a part-time dad and how hard it is to have a relationship with your kid and find time to be with your kid, take care of yourself, have a healthy life, and the relationship that you have with your child's mother that you're no longer with. Sorry that I wasn't able to be on earlier. I had some adult stuff I had to take care of. Let's get into it, my savages. How you guys doing today? So the one thing that's hard when you have kids that you're not with the child's mother is you don't get to see your kids the way that you would like to. And also it's hard not having, like, when you have a nuclear family and you have your child in the home with you, you have the ability to lean on the other parent, and you don't have that when you don't live with your child's mother. So your role is dramatically limited in this aspect, since at the end of the day I have a financial obligation to be there for my child, but I also have a financial responsibility for myself. And yes, being an adult is hard, but what's harder is being a father and being an adult, and your kids don't live with you, or your child doesn't live with you. Because not only do you have to deal with, like, in order for you to see your kid, you have to see your kid through a woman, and also sometimes through a court. So you have multiple things that you have to go through to see your kid. And then a lot of the times people like my son's mother doesn't realize this, but so whenever she gets mad at me, she ends up telling me that, I'm a shitty dad, or I don't have enough time for my kid. But with that being said, I have to take care of myself, plus pay her money, plus on top of pay her money, there's other expenses that I have to pay as well that fall on me. And I don't get any sort of, like, cash assistance or government assistance or any sort of safety net. How you doing, No English? So if you're a single man and you're out here having fun, do whatever you can not to have children with a woman you don't know, or a woman you're just dating. Because I'm going to tell you, once you make that mistake, it's something that you can't get out of. Like, if you go and commit a crime, you get arrested, you do probation, or you go to prison, or you do any of these things, you can correct your life. But when you end up having children, it's hard to overcome this obstacle, because unless you're already well off, or unless, when you end up having a kid, you already make $100,000 a year or something, or you own a business and you make $200,000 a year or something ridiculous. If you're just an average person, single guy, being middle class, it's going to be hard for you to do other things that you want to do with your life. And also your time becomes very limited, and a lot of the stress that you have in life comes down to your lack of time. And because of this, like, I already live in a very unhealthy lifestyle as it is, but also having my time divided up so much between the different parts of things in my life, it is hard for me to maintain a healthy sense of life, or a healthy lifestyle. Like, for example, so I was dating this chick, and this is before I became red pilled. And anyone that consumes red pill stuff knows that whenever you love a woman too much, or you're into a woman too much, or you show too much of your feelings, you're lost. You're gonna lose. It doesn't. The more you like a woman, the less attracted and interested in you she is. The more that you compromise to her, the less of a man she looks like, that she looks at you like. So I was dating a woman, and I was head over heels. I was in love. Like I was stuck. Like I was completely stuck. There's nothing I can say besides that. Like I was simping like so hard. I was simping so hard. So I ignored all the red flags. I uh, I just pushed straight into it head on, doing dumb stuff. And this woman wanted to have a baby, and at the time I had broken up with a woman previously, and she had told me that she was pregnant. And I didn't believe her. I didn't think that she was pregnant, and I already had my son. And I was madly in love with this woman, and this woman wanted to end up having a kid. And I like kids, so she decided to go off of her birth control. And within a month of her being off her birth control, or maybe a month and a half or something, she ended up being pregnant. And as soon as she got pregnant, like more of her bipolar or mood swings or whatever started to happen. And it wasn't because she was pregnant, but it definitely, that's when her behavior changed. And it got to a point where right before we found out that she was pregnant, um, she did something or said something or was being ridiculously unbearable. And she ended up calling me the N word. Now, my son is mixed, so as you can tell, I knew that she was saying that because of my kid, and that pissed me off. So I ended up breaking up with her, and I broke up with her, and I ended up telling my son's mom about it because obviously, like at the time, me and my son's mom was somewhat close, and I was still in that phase of we're gonna co-parent together. Like you're like it's in our best interest for us both to be friendly and me to go out of my way to do whatever for you. I was still blue pill. And so she ended up, I told her, she was like, yeah, that's kind of lame. So then after I broke up with her, like that Tuesday or the next, like a couple days later, she found my ex-girlfriend, not my son's mom, found out she was pregnant. So we decided to have that conversation that, well, you're pregnant. We should try to work past this, blase, blase. Well, during the course of this, like I was still pissed about it. She was still on some bullshit. Well, long story short, when she found out she was pregnant, she had already planned an appointment at Planned Parenthood and planned on having an abortion, but didn't tell me. And the whole time that she was waiting for her appointment, she was like sending me like, you know how women have those little apps that like you are this many days pregnant, this is how big your baby is, this is the stage of the baby's life, blah blah blah. Well, she was doing like she was leading me on, she was manipulating me. So whatever ended up happening, she ended up like for some reason she ended up talking mad trash to me or whatever. She ended up going and talking to my ex that was saying that she was pregnant with my kid that I didn't believe. And long story short, she ended up having the abortion, and she didn't tell me she had the abortion, but she ended up messaging me and telling me that she had the abortion and that she hoped that I lost it or it hurt me or something. Like long story short, she told me that she had the abortion and she hoped that it hurt me, and that was like one of the other great things about doing it, because obviously like she was like, you don't have your son all the time, and you're a shitty dad for that. So then shortly after that happened, so like I'm going through that aspect of like knowing that I had a child that isn't gonna be alive anymore. It's never gonna be anything. to my son's mom calling me a racist because my ex-girlfriend called me the N-word. So then, like, I wasn't able to see my son for a while and whatnot. We argued, and like, this is, if anyone that doesn't have a baby mom, if you want to know how this works, it doesn't matter what you do. Whenever you piss off your kid's mom, you're deadbeat, regardless. Regardless of what you do. Like, you could put her in a house, you could buy her a car, you could get a gold statue of her place in the backyard. Like, it doesn't matter. As soon as she gets mad at you, you ain't shit, and that's just the facts. So, like, the moral of this story is, part of the reason I became red pill and became aware of women's nature was because of these things, and it was a very painful process. And for any guys that don't have kids with women, like, just learn from me. Like, you don't need to get a woman pregnant and find out the hard way. Like, when I went through child support with my son, like, I even had the idea, like, seeing my stepdad go through child support for my stepbrothers, and thinking, like, my parents did all right. My mom just has bad spending habits. Like, it won't be that bad. And people told me, when you go in there, they're going to ask you how much money you make every month, what bills you have coming out of your monthly checks. They're going to figure out what's affordable for you, blah blah blah. Off the rip, I was paying $1,300 a month in child support, and I made $34,000 at the time. So it's like any person that gets arrested for the first time. Like, they come to the realization once they get the handcuffs on them that this sucks, but you really don't know how bad it sucks until you're in the holding cell for 8 hours, and then you get your little mattress, and they take you to General Pop, to your little pod, and then you're there for a couple weeks. Like, you always hear about how shitty the food is, but you get your first lunch tray, and you feel like they literally just shit into a pot and dumped it on a tray for you. So, like, there's plenty of guys that make content. I don't know a whole lot of guys that actually make content that are red pilled, that talk specifically about, like, how they dealt with the court system or their exact experience. It's more of, like, people reporting on other people's stories. But let me tell you, from the times of not being able to see my kids, yes, I was paying $1,300 a month. And then I had to pay $1,300 a month, and then I had to pay for another lawyer. So I can tell anyone that's here, like, don't do anything. Like, don't, if you're with a woman and she says, I don't like condoms, I'm on the pill, I can't have kids, don't believe it. Like, just don't believe it. Because once you get into the bear trap, it's really hard to get out of that bear trap. And then on top of it, not only do you have the mental stress of coming up with rent or paying bills or worrying about your car, or your kid asking you for stuff, and you really can't do anything for them, or like, not being able to take days off of work to go see your kid. Like, your kid he has some sort of thing at the daycare or something. Yeah, don't believe the hype. It's not good. Like, it's just not good. And, like, I got my son's mom pregnant because I thought I was sterile. My sister cannot have children, and I was being reckless with my male member from the time I started having sex until, like, a year or two ago. So I got a good amount of time, good amount of years. I'm 31. I started having sex when I was 19. So I had my first kid at 27, I believe. Yeah, 27. So, like, just don't take the risk. Like when I went to court, I had to pay for my son's attorney and I had to pay for my attorney, and that's thousands. That's thousands of dollars. Like that's thousands. And then you also have to take into account all the times you have to miss work to go to court. And out of my custody hearing, I ended up with time from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturdays. That is what the court decided was reasonable. And then child support came a few months after that, and I was paying her $450 some a month. And then they said I had to carry him on my health insurance, and the health insurance was $400 a month for him to be on it. And then I had a $5,500 deductible. So the $5,500 deductible was what I had to pay out before the insurance company covered anything. So if you take 5,500 and divide that by 12, that breaks down to 1,300. That breaks down to $400 some a month. So I was paying a little over 1,300 a month, making $34,000 a year. And if you guys don't know this, the way that child support works is child support comes out before you pay taxes. So I pay taxes on the money that like whenever you go to pay child support, you pay taxes to the government on the money that they're taking for child support. You don't get a smaller tax burden because they're taking money from you. So I was paying full taxes on the money, and then I was giving up $1,300 a month, and then I had what was left over to pay my bills. And at the time, I was making like $700 some a week at the time, and I went from making like $720 a week or something to making $280 a week. And so when they send you the order, you have 30 days to dispute the child support. So I disputed the child support, and I had to get a lawyer. That was another $1,000 for the lawyer to go back to child support court after I just paid an attorney and my son's attorney for custody. And my attorney told me that it'd be 2 to 3 weeks before I'd be back in front of the judge. They scheduled me out like 5 months from the time I filed. So I had to pay. So here's the other great thing. So while I was waiting to go to court, I had to pay the child support the whole time waiting to go back. So then after I got done with that, I ended up paying child support for like 6.5 months because they take it weekly. It's not a monthly payment. So like I was still paying it even though it was like 6.5 months. So then they did lower it, and the only reason that they lowered it was because my son's mom agreed to lower the child support, and the state themselves was fighting me on lowering it, because the way in Ohio, the way the law is written is if the health insurance is 5% of your income, it's considered to be unaffordable, and they can't make you, I guess in the law, they can't make you pay for health care if it's unaffordable through your work. So I was at 4.9% of my income with just what I had to pay the insurance company for my son to be on my insurance. That didn't include the premium. And the prosecuting attorney, the state, because when you go to child support, the state argues on your kid's mom's behalf. So it's you versus your mom or your kid's mom and the state. And the only way that the prosecutor would end up signing off on the lowering of my child support payment was if I was to sign over the rights to be able to claim my kid forever. And at the time, I was getting bent over a barrel and beat and then physically assaulted by the judge while the bailiff watched. So I figured, like, fuck it, I'll sign this. It won't be that bad not being able to claim my kid. But the problem with that is I'm not able to claim anything for, I can't claim my son. So like as I'm a single male, so I don't get any tax breaks. I don't have any tax breaks. So like I paid last year between taxes and child support, they took out $16,000 out of my income between taxes and child support. I paid the government 16 grand, and when I filed my taxes, I literally was able to get back $306 or something, or $320, and I ended up owing the city I live in $285. So out of $16,000, I only got back like, I think it was like $25 or something. So guys, use condoms, pay hookers. Don't trust just anyone with your seed, because once you have sex, it's over. It's a wrap. If she wants to have the kid, she can have the kid. If she wants to not have the kid, she doesn't have to. But whatever decision that she decides to live with, you have to live with that decision. If you're going to be upset that your child is being ended, you have to live knowing that this woman killed your child. If she decides to have the child, you have to live with the fact that she's going to take you to court, and you're going to have to just get strong-armed by the government every week. Bro, I can't even pull out of a driveway. Like, listen, if I'm in there and I'm unprotected, I'm in there unprotected for a reason, because I'm trying to hit that finish line. Like, I'm in there for that purpose. I'm not backing out. So just wear a condom. um, the reason that they made me sign over my rights I still have my kid. I have parental rights to my son, but I don't have the right to file him on my taxes. The reason that they did that was because they know that I would do better with that money than the mom would. So it the reason that the court system is set up the way it is because women don't save money, they spend money. So by them not allowing me to claim my kid every other year, the way that the system sees it is that money is going to get cycled back into the economy, and it's going to benefit the state more because mom's spending that money in the state and in the city, so they're going to reap it back instead of me getting it. And because if you look up the statistics, men are more likely to invest, men are more likely to start a business, men are more likely to take money and put it into something that's going to benefit them to make money. It's not going to just be frivolous things. Like, you only see no, you can't ask for receipts. Now, I don't think that like I don't want everyone to think that I think my son's mom just spends the money willy-nilly and she blows it. I don't. She takes great care. She takes good care of my son. Like, my son, she doesn't neglect my son. But the point that I'm making is, so like in my child support agreement, it says that or in my custody agreement, it says that well, she has a card. They give people child support cards, but to let me see what the money's going to, they're not into that. They're not into that. Like they don't want they don't want accountability. Accountability is not a thing that they want to give to women. If they wanted women to be accountable, then they wouldn't say that you could. They wouldn't have the dropping your kids off thing. They wouldn't have abortions. They wouldn't have welfare. Like everything is set up in the system for women to make bad decisions. But regardless about the child support, the fact of it is like every 3 years, guys. Whenever every 3 years, your child's mother can take you back to court to get your child support increased. So in a 3 year period, if you get any raises at all, they'll increase your child support. Even if you only get a cost of living raise every year, which is like, say it's 55 cents for a cost of living. If you end up getting $1.70 by the time you go back, they'll increase your child support so that $1.50 an hour that you ended up getting over 3 years, it doesn't mean anything because they're just going to start nipping at that too. And in some states, depending on what state you're in, your child support can go up to like 21 if they're in college. Like I think it's California, you can pay child support up to like 21 years old if your kid goes to college. So just don't. Just like the headache, like the headache is a pain in the ass. Like just imagine when you guys know how you're trying to get a woman to come hang out. You're trying to get her to come over so you can slide through. Okay, so imagine how hard it is when a woman's spinning you to get to see her to be able to hit. Now imagine she has your kid and she's mad at you and you want to see your kid. Like it can be almost impossible. So the best thing that anyone can do is if you don't have kids, don't just have kids with random people. Just don't. Just don't. Like, I'm going to bring up. I saw a post today. And the reason that I'm going to bring this post up because like this personifies it. Okay, so if you guys can see here, I'm not sure if you can see it. I can't tell what you're saying, but it says, I don't know if I'm being petty here, but I feel like I'm not. So my ex-husband remarried and has kids with his wife. She owns a business. I found out she makes almost $1 million a year. My ex works and gives me $900 a month in child support for our daughter, but I don't think it's fair. I told him that it would be nice if he sent me more for my daughter. He told me that his wife and his accounts are not together, but honestly, I want to take him and his wife to court to get the max amount I can get for my daughter. I work from home and my husband is in the army, but we are struggling. It would be nice to have that additional income that my daughter deserves. What do you think, guys? Now, I want to give a shout out to Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews because that was on his community page. He posted that. But as you can see, that man is paying $900 a month of child support, and he's got other kids. But because the way that his ex-wife feels, she now wants to go and fuck with him. And like that is what you're going to deal with 9 out of 10 times when you have a child with a woman you're not with. Because when you're with a woman, she can nag you. She can do whatever stuff women do when you're dating them. But when you're not with them and you don't have to listen to their bullshit, you can just go home and do whatever it is that you're doing. We all know that women hate when you're having fun. When women hate men having fun. Women hate men hanging out with each other. So just imagine she has your kid. Like that's it. Like that's the only leverage that she has on you is your kid. So when you're trying to have all those intricate moments with your kid when they're growing, like their first steps, their first words, when they have nightmares, it's hard to be able to do those things. Like right now, right before I got on this stream, my son called me and wanted me to come get him. Yeah, but see, that's not how it works. I agree with you, Nate. She should have thought about that. But that's the thing. It doesn't matter what a woman does. It's always comes down to the man's fault. Like his wife makes $1 million, and she's now trying to get more money because of what his wife does. Like that's like we're struggling, so my daughter deserves more. No, because you're going to be struggling with however much he was to give you, because you are bad with money, and it's just what it is. So guys, if you learn anything from this, do not be like me. Do not have baby moms. Do not have baby mom. Don't have kids with multiple women. Don't do it. Like you see this hairline, you see all of this hair right here that's going thin. I had a gorgeous head of hair. Okay, I'm lying. My hair was receding anyways, but I have definitely lost more hair since having kids, just because of the stress. Like I was saying, my son just called me, wanted me to come get him, and like it's 8 o'clock here on the East Coast. I have to be up for work at 4:45, and I've got to be at work at 6:30. And it was like 7:30 when he called me. It's like a 20-minute drive. Yeah, I was being sarcastic. But yeah, when I said I had a gorgeous head of hair, man, I was being facetious, okay? I was being facetious. But like my son wants me to come get him or go hang out with him. And just going over there would be a 40, 50-minute, 60-minute drive. And like I got clothes to wash. I have adult stuff that I need to do today that I can't go do. And like I can't, like my work starts at 6:30. His daycare, I think his daycare starts at 6, but it's like 30 minutes the opposite direction that I have to be at work. So like even though I'd be 15 minutes or 20 minutes late, I'd still be late to work. And like what a lot of women, like one thing with my kid's mom, they never understand this. Like they don't understand like why I can't take off work to take him to the doctor or stuff like that. I don't know if you know this, but I'm in a construction field. You can't really take off work all the time. You can't. Like I can't take off a day of work every other week. After I do that 1 or 2 times, I'm gonna get told that if I miss work, I'm gonna get let go, or like my job isn't as flexible with missing work or being late and stuff like that. So it just puts me in a position where I'm not able to do the things that I would like to do with my kid. And so not only do I pay child support, not only do I pay medical bills, but I also pay all my own bills. And then whenever I do have my kid, I still got to pay for him to be here. Like I still, like when he has birthdays and stuff, I still pay for him to, like I still pay for that shit. So like I'm paying for everything twice. And it's hard to get your kid's mom to understand that idea. Like it's just a lot of stress that you don't need. You just don't need it. Like with my daughter's mom, I don't even talk to her. I haven't seen my daughter since everything started with COVID. Like I stopped seeing her when COVID hit because my job was essential and I was hanging out with a bunch of guys on a job. Like there's like 50 or 60 people on a job, and she was living in a sober house for moms with kids. So I was already at high risk of coming in contact with COVID. Now, granted, at this time we didn't know how serious COVID was, or we didn't know how serious it was, or what was exactly going on with it when it first happened. But by the time that I started talking to her, she was on some trying to like be scandalous and get in my life and like just fuck with me for no reason. And like besides that, like I had this woman like telling people that I kicked her out of my house because she was pregnant, when that's not what happened. I broke up with her and she told me she was pregnant afterwards, and I thought that she was just trying to tell me she was pregnant to keep me. And then she was getting high with my kid. She told people I beat her while she was pregnant, which never happened. Like she started getting in my girlfriend's ear and affecting my like. There isn't a part of my life that she has not tried to affect. And honestly, to be 100% honest, like I just had this, like I don't like her. I hate her. Like having a child with her was the worst mistake that I've ever made in my entire life. I'd rather shoot myself in both feet and then stick like hot pokers in the bullet holes. Like it's miserable. And because of my feelings with her mom, like I can't lie and say that I don't have some sort of resentment towards my daughter, because I have to deal with her mom. And like it's just stress that no one it just it's stress that no one needs. So like if you don't have kids, wear a condom. Don't believe any women. Like don't believe them. Like do not believe that they can't get pregnant, or that they're on the pill, or any of that bullshit. Oh, that's all right, Ginger. No, she hasn't tried to mess with my YouTube life, but I've only been on YouTube for like 2 months. So, give me 3 years and give me 20,000 subscribers, or, 5,000 subscribers or something. And, you know, something's actually happening. Like, I'm sure that I'm sure she'll at some point try to get into it, try to take me back to court, or she'll take me to court or something, whatever it is. But the reason I'm having this stream is, it's not because I want people to feel sympathy for me, because I made my own bed. Like I made that bed and I got to live with it. I got to sleep in that bed. But it's for guys that don't have kids, that don't know, because a lot of us hear bad things about stuff, but you don't realize the depravity, or how bad something really is, until you experience it. And it's different, like when you have like mediocre tutorial reviews. When he posted that comment, or that post today, he doesn't have any kids. So like, even him, if he was to speak on it, he's only speaking on it from like a logical sense. Nothing against it, but there are plenty of people that don't have kids that give commentary about this stuff, and they they only have an idea. They haven't really experienced it, and I have experienced it. So I would like to give more of a genuine explanation of why not to have children outside of wedlock, and even think twice about getting married, because it's more stress. Like, it's just more stress. Like, so as of right now, I don't really make any income off YouTube. Like, I'm not making anything really off YouTube. But like, say I was to get to $2,000 a month from donations or sponsorships or merchandise sales, eventually I could have to also be paying child support off of the money that I roughly make every month from YouTube. So it doesn't matter what it is. Like, if I have whenever you get on child support, once you get on it, any income that you have coming in, you have to pay child support. Like, listen, perfect example. If I sell a house, I could have to pay child support off the profits of me selling the house. If I win the lottery, she really wasn't high maintenance. Like, not she really wasn't that high maintenance. Well, the thing of it is like with Cash App or Patreon or any of these things, like Patreon, they end up they give you, like, you have to pay taxes on it. Like, they send you a tax form. If you, like, Cash App, I'm not sure if they do, like, I'm really not sure if they end up doing taxes on Cash App or anything like that. Like, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming anything that transfers money that's linked to your Social Security, they will send you, like for example, like Nate, like, say you make 100 grand right now, all right, and for the last 10 years you've been investing a certain amount of money into stocks every single week, and in the next 5 years, your the amount of money that you've been investing into stocks, you're going to be bringing home enough money from your investments in 5 years to where you don't have to work. You can live off the interest. You make 40 or 50 grand a year off of just your investments. They can tax that. Like, they can make you pay child support payments on that. If your grandmother dies and leaves you money, you can pay child support on that money that you inherit. Any sort of income, anything that counts as income, that they can get you to pay child support on. If you have money in savings, if I had $35,000 right now in savings and I was making 100 grand a year, if she found out that I had $35,000 in savings, they can up my child support payments, because they consider that $35,000 that I've already paid child support with, I've already paid taxes on, they still consider that to be income. So then I could have to pay a settlement out of the 35 grand because it's income. So again, this isn't me bitching about my situation, but I'm just letting everyone know, like, the way the laws are written, it's not in your favor. And if you don't have any kids, just be precautious. Like, don't put yourself into a bind to where you're married to the state, and the state's checking in on you all the time, because, like, as you can see, that post that I just read, she found out that his wife makes like $1 million a year. She can't prove it. She like, I'm sure she didn't get the lady's W-2 or her tax forms. I'm sure she doesn't have a screenshot of the chick's bank account information. But because she heard that she possibly makes X amount of dollars, if she decides to take him back to court, the court can make him show all of the income from him and his wife. So just the idea or the thought that you heard that she heard that you made more money means that you now have to prove that you don't make that much money. So guys, just if you don't have kids, don't don't be doing stupid stuff. Like, look at Tommy Sotomayor. Tommy Sotomayor was at a bar. He ended up getting sent a DNA, being told that he had a daughter in California or something, and he found out that he had a daughter, and she had told another man that that was his kid, and the other guy was paying child support. And then she found out Tommy was worth money, so then she took him to court, and then she wanted a lump sum payment for all the back child support that she didn't get from him, even though another man was paying child support for the kid, for his daughter. I'm not sure what his other daughter's name is, but even if I did, I wouldn't say it. But like, a woman can specifically tell you that this is your kid and it's not your kid. Another man can raise your daughter or your son for 10 years, and then if she decides that she wants you make more money, she then can go after you for 10 years for the child support. Like, that's the thing with child support. YouTube censors a lot of stuff. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you gamble and win money, if you win the lottery, if you anything that comes to money, man, if you go to, like, say you go to Las Vegas and you win $9,999 and you don't have to claim it, if you don't have to claim the money, then they can't take it. But if you win $10,000 at the slot machine in Las Vegas, because they now sent that to the IRS, if you go in the next 3 years to child support court, you have to show that you had that $10,000. Yeah, you can't say anything that's anti-woman on YouTube. They're very woman friendly. Like, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, when I went into child support, like when I went down to the office and I was filling out the paperwork for me to, like, whatever they were doing, they ask you the year, like the car that you own, they ask you what model it is, what year it is. Like, they want to know if you're driving a Bentley. Well, yes and no. It is set up by men, but it was mainly set up by women. Like, men passed it, but it was set up by women. But if you go and look, like when I went here in Ohio to go do child support, they wanted to know what model of car I drove and what year it was. So they want to know if you're driving a 2020 Bentley or if you're driving a 94 Pinto. Like, I don't understand how that matters. I don't. Like, I don't understand, like, what it matters, because even if I'm driving a Bentley, you can only charge me on how much income I have. If I only make 60 grand, you can't tell me, well, you make 60 grand and you have a Bentley, so that means that I know for a fact that I can get another grand out of you a month. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how, like, what car I drive. No, you're good. You're good, Hairhat. And I have not seen you in the chat before, so thank you for supporting. Yeah, like, that's how it is. Like, they want to know. Like, here's another fucked up thing. So when my daughter's mom was getting high and CPS was called. Oh yeah, I live in Cleveland, bro. I live in Cleveland. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, and my son's mom's black. And when I went to court, my lawyer was white, I was white. The prosecuting attorney was black. My son's mom was black. The magistrate was black. Like, everyone there was black except for me and my lawyer. And literally I paid more child support for one kid than guys I know that had two kids that made the same amount of money as I made. So like I don't know. I don't know if it was my lawyer. I don't know. Yeah, I've never seen you in this chat, so like welcome. I've been down in Dayton. I've been in Cincinnati too. I used to live down in Cincinnati. But like the fact of it is like once you get into the child support system, you're like you're fucked. Like I had good credit. I literally, when I bought my truck, I didn't need a cosigner, nothing. I went put $2,000 down in cash, got my truck. My credit's destroyed. Like my credit's trash. Like as soon as I started doing like trying to get custody of my son, I was getting hit with so much. Like I was getting hit with like I literally paid like $6,000 or something. Like I paid a ridiculous amount of money to get 10 hours a week with my kid. And then right after I started to get my shit to like get all my finances and everything together from paying off these lawyers, I got hit with $1,300 a month child support. Like I went from making, like I said, I was after taxes, I was bringing home 720. I went from that to bringing home 280. Like my truck payment and my car insurance at the time was like $4 something. So my truck payment and my car insurance was literally 2 weeks worth of my paycheck. And then I had to pay another $1,000 to go back to child support court. Like the court system don't care. Like they like it doesn't matter. It does not matter how broke you are. It doesn't matter how broke you are. It like listen, I called CPS on my son's mom at one point, and the lady on the phone here in Ohio told me that if my son's mom was to be homeless, then it was my responsibility to pay for an apartment for her to have a place for my kid to live. That's what I was told by a lady at the call center. So the lady at the call center told me that it's my responsibility to pay for 2 houses so that my kid's not in the street. When my daughter's mom was in court for CPS because she was getting high with my kid, they told me, because I was the father, that there was no programs, there was no aid, there was nothing that they could do because I didn't have custody of my daughter. I had no parental rights. Like I was just I did have parental rights because I think the DNA test came back. So yeah, I had parental rights at the time. But so I said, she's been keeping my daughter from me since October or something. Can you guys, since you guys called me and like you guys want to give me my kid in like a week, I wasn't expecting to change my whole lifestyle to have a baby in a few days. So is there any assistance that you guys can help me with getting daycare and whatnot? Because I work a full-time job, and obviously like I didn't wake up this morning thinking that I was going to have my daughter since you guys called me out the blue to come to this meeting. The lady looked me dead in the face. It's not even true. That's not even true. When I asked the lady if there was any sort of resources or anything, she looked at me and laughed and said, "No, you're the dad." She goes, "You can go down to welfare and apply for vouchers." I went down to welfare to apply for vouchers. Now, mind you, I don't agree with welfare. I don't think welfare should be a thing. I come from a family that was on welfare when I was a kid, and my parents did everything that they could do not to be on welfare longer than they needed to be. And my family instilled in me the shame they instilled the shame in me to not be on, like, my family instilled in me it's shameful to be on welfare. Like, you only be on welfare because you have to, and you get off of it as soon as you can get off it. So I went down there and asked them, like, hey, like, how much money do I have to make to qualify to be on, like, to get vouchers for my daughter, since it's like it's an emergency situation. They told me that I made too much money, and even though I pay child support for my son, that doesn't count. Like, so when it comes to the government, the government doesn't include me having my son as a dependent. And then on top of that, so CPS told me that when they gave me my kid, I was going to have daycare. Well, the daycare was going to be $200 a week for a child younger than a year. It was going to be $200 a week, so $800 a month. And child support would not lower my child support payments for my son because it was temporary custody. And I couldn't get child support from my daughter's mom because it was temporary custody. So because I was a man that couldn't claim my son for paying for him, I would have to pay everything out of pocket. And even with my daughter, I didn't qualify to get vouchers. So literally it was, you have to pay for your son, have your kid, have your daughter, do it on your own, get no assistance from the mom or from the state, and you should be able to do it. Now, mind you, they never took my daughter from her mom. During this whole COVID thing, they ended up closing the case. They had a court date and they kept pushing it back, and then they dismissed it. So even her being on drugs didn't matter. And the state paid for her to go to rehab. The state paid for her to be in housing. The state paid for her, like, the state paid for everything. Not only are they giving her food stamps and cash assistance and welfare, but they're paying for her treatment. They're paying for everything. They're paying for everything. Literally, as a woman, you don't have to pay for shit. And you can be a drug addict and the state will pay you. They'll take care of it. Like, I think the only way that I'd be able to get my daughter from her mom is legitimately if they found her, the baby, and a dead body in the car robbing a bank with a gun as a felon with a key in the trunk. Like, it would be that extreme of a case for them to be like, well, maybe this baby should not be with this woman. Like, I didn't think that my daughter was mine. When we got the test results back of the DNA, my daughter's mom posted it on Facebook and clowned me, saying, I've been telling you it was yours. But yeah, bro, you have an easier life as a trans woman than you do as a man. Listen, my kids' moms have gotten mad over shit, and they clown me on social media because they just have to let everyone, the 100 people or 200 people they have on social media, however many people, they just have to let them know their thoughts about me. Like legitly, like, I got clowned for not thinking that my daughter was mine, even though my daughter's mom is a lying whore, a lying bitch, and she was hooking while she was pregnant. Like after we broke up and I kicked her out and everything, she was sleeping with men for money because she was strung out on drugs. So like absolutely no credibility, like no reason in any way for me to believe her. But you know when they post shit on the internet, they don't say, well, he didn't believe because there was like 13 other dudes that's DNA was swimming through my body while I was pregnant at the time. It was, you know, he just didn't believe it. So again, do not do not have children with women you're not married to. Just don't do it. Don't cohabitate. Don't if you're like in some states, if you're living with a woman for 6 months and she has kids, when she breaks up with you or you break up with her, she can ask you for child support. Like if you like don't open yourself up to danger. Like just don't. Just don't. Like luckily in the field that I'm in, I don't really think that my kid's mom could like I don't think she could get me fired because I'm in the construction field. So like they really don't care about my personal life. But let me work at IBW or at IBM. Let me work at some bank. Let me work any sort of corporate job in any form, and I'm going to get fired for this lady writing emails to the company. And like my daughter just turned 1 June 1st. So I've got 17 years for sure, like a definite 17 years of dealing with this woman. And I've got another 15 years of dealing with my son's mom for sure. Now, like, fortunately for me, even when me and my son's mom fight and she don't let me see him, she don't really talk shit about me to my son. So like, my son loves me to death. Like he always loves him some daddy. But my daughter, I don't see it being like that. I don't really have a relationship with my daughter, and I already know like my yeah IBW. I meant yeah, it's not what I meant. I meant IBM. I'm dyslexic, so I mix up letters from time to time. But like my sister threw a baby shower for my daughter's mom, and at the baby shower, her daughter walked up to a stranger that was we were at a park, and we were at the playground, and the kids were playing, and uh, we're at the park, and her daughter, who's like 12 or 11, walked up to a complete stranger and told him like, "Hey, my mommy's pregnant. That's a baby daddy right there. He kicked my mommy out because she was pregnant." So if the 11-year-old had enough thought process to tell a stranger, which is weird, but she told a stranger this, and if she told a stranger that, that means that she heard it from her mom. Like she heard people talking about it, so she was repeating what she heard. So I already know that like my daughter's mom is going to poison that well. That well, like no matter what, even if I like, no matter what, the well was going to get poisoned. So the moral of this story is wear rubber, pay a hooker, maybe just booty sex. Um, yeah, don't get yourself caught up, guys, because dads don't win. Like we don't win. Like we just don't. There's no way to win. there's no way you can't win in any way. Like even when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you still ain't shit. You still are a shitty dad. Like it doesn't matter. Like here's a great story of when I was blue pill and I was going out of my way to help my son's mom no matter what. At one point the I went to the motel because she was living in a motel. So what ended up happening is I legitly went to. She was staying in a motel room. Her and her mom were staying in a one bed motel with two kids. So it was two adults, two kids in one bed. Her mom was having a friend over, and her mom was drinking, and so was the guy. They started fighting. The guy hit her mom, my son's grandmother. She started saying something to him. He started getting mouthy with her. I went and picked her up, and I had a two-bedroom apartment on the west side of Cleveland. I went and picked them up, and I had her daughter, and my son stay with me. She was trying to fight the dude. I was just worried about getting the kids out of there. A few days later, a week later, her mom was drunk, and so was the dude, and they got into it, and she stabbed him to death. And she stayed with me the whole month of December, and ended up moving out a few like halfway through or a couple days or something in January. And while she was staying with me, I was paying her child support. I was supplying the house. I was paying for what was needed in the house. She moved out, saved up the child support and her work money from staying with me, got an apartment, and when I signed the agreement to say that I would no longer claim my son, I told her before I signed the paper in front of my lawyer, I said, I'll sign this and sign over my rights to claiming my kid on my taxes, but let me claim him next year. Because when we did this agreement, I let you claim him last year because you need to get a car and shit. You had shit you had to take care of. So just let me claim him next year and you can have him for the rest of the time. She agreed. That was, April or something. Well, come the February of that next year, she filed taxes, sent it in, and then told me after the fact that she claimed him after she had just stayed with me 2 months prior. Like, like any time that you show any sort of sympathy or any sort of emotions, or you let them do any sort of, you give them any inches, they take miles. The children of your mom are selfish. Like they're just selfish. Like they care about themselves. It's just what it is. And that post that I showed shows that. So guys, like I love my son to death. I love my son to death very much. I am very happy and very blessed that I have a son. But if I could go back, if I could be 31 with no kids, like that would be the life. Being 31 with no kids would definitely be a lot less stressful. A lot less stressful. It would be. It would be much more stress free. And like here's the other thing, like so we all know that men take risks. Like men are more willing to work dangerous jobs. We're more willing to bet on ourselves, stuff like that. Like yeah, that's what I did. So with that being said, like I can't take risks like I would like to do some of the stuff. Like I can't be as risky because I have kids. And like if I had a wife that I lived with and I had kids and she worked, Like, I could work less hours at my job and do more photography stuff, do more YouTube stuff. Like, I could take time from work and really put more time into something else that I'm trying to make something into. But being a single dad, I can't be as risky. I can't do stuff that I enjoy. I have to do stuff that I necessarily don't enjoy because it pays me. So when you have children with a woman that you're not married to and you don't live with, you become a slave to that situation. Just like if you get married, you're a slave to that marriage because the court system is geared against you. There is no win for you in in a divorce. So if you can avoid putting yourself into those shackles, do it at all costs. Seriously. Like, don't don't be dumb and naive like I was. Don't. Like, just don't be dumb and naive, because it doesn't, like, it might sound good, it might be fun at the moment, but like that will wear off, and it'll come to a point where you'll have a daily reminder, a weekly reminder of that mistake, and it's not something that you can. It's not like getting a car repoed or, fucking your credit up, where you can eventually get out from under that rock. This isn't a situation that goes away, or no matter what you do can gets better. It just is. It's the same burden. I know a guy that I work with. I know a guy that I work with that in the time of him having his kids, he ended up paying like $400,000 in child support, or $450,000 in child support payments. 400,000. Can you imagine paying $400,000 in child support? I got a question for you guys. Do you think if you had the kid in your life, like the kid lived with you, do you think that it would cost 400,000? If you had three kids, say you were paying child support for three kids, do you think it would cost you $400,000 to raise three kids for 18 years? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. I'm going to say it probably wouldn't. But because you don't live with your kid and the court decides what amount of money you need to pay, you now are coming out of pocket $400,000 to someone that doesn't have to be responsible with the money, doesn't have to do anything for the kids, doesn't have to do anything. And if she fucks up the money, she'll still call you and ask you for money. She'll still call you for birthdays. She'll still call you to do shit outside of your child support agreement. And it's just not, it makes having a relationship with your seed much harder. It makes it much harder than it has to be. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's not fair to the kids. It's not fair to the kids. But at the end of the day, the only people that end up having to pay for that problem is the man and the kids. And that, yeah, but let's be honest here. Every kid does need to go to college, for one. For two, if a single person makes 50 grand a year, all right, and you have three kids, it would take you 10 years to make $500,000. So you would be at about $1 million in 20 years with those kids if you made $50,000 alone. You're not going to tell me that a person with three kids that only makes 50 grand a year is going to end up spending $400,000 of the $1 million in 20 years on just the three kids. It's not going to happen. And a lot of what you guys don't realize is when you have kids and you pay child support to the mom, all the mom has to do is work like 24 hours a week and they'll stay on the welfare system and they'll get the max amount of money from the child support. And because they're on the welfare system, they're able to apply for more school loans and shit and pay like they get cheaper, they get more money for free to go to school. So I can promise you that I know for a fact that $400,000 that dude paid didn't go to college, didn't go to private school. They were actually considered to be the poor kids in their school. They wore Walmart clothes. And then mom went on vacation a lot. She went on vacation a hell of a lot. Like that chick, that post that I just showed, the lady gets $900 a month. Do you think that if she was getting $2,000 a month, that was going to be going to private school? Do you think if the dude's wife ended up having to pay her $10,000 a month, do you think her kid would be going to private school? Do you think that $5,000 a month of that money would be being saved for her to go to college? It wouldn't be. That's very, very few women. It's very few single moms. It's very few. So I was looking into the Patreon. I was looking into how I'm doing doing live streams on Patreon. I guess I can do live streams with YouTube and Patreon, but I'm gonna see if I can do a live stream. There is like a Comcast thing or something like that. That's just Patreon that I can do, but I have to see what I have to pay and what I have to set up to do that. I have to look more into that. No, you're good, Nate. You're good. Um, I do have to look more into the Patreon and seeing exactly what I'm gonna do to live stream those. Um, but tomorrow after work, I have to go look at something at about 6 o'clock. But I'm gonna drop a video. I'm gonna try to drop 2 videos tomorrow, one before, one after. I'm not exactly sure what my topics are gonna be for tomorrow. Honestly, like this was just kind of I seen that post that MTR did, and like I said, I've lived the being a single dad, and I don't see a whole lot of content that's about that. Like I don't really expect this video to get a bunch of views. Like the video that I did about the woman cheating on her husband, but she's in a happy marriage, that didn't get a lot of views. I don't think that this stuff will get a lot of views. It's not necessarily what it's about. It needed to be talked about. Um, if anyone wants to send me some topics, you can go ahead and send them to my email or get a hold of me on Patreon and tell me what you want my opinion on. Um, if you guys want, tell me if you guys want me to do current events. Like I can definitely do current events. It really doesn't matter, but I'm gonna make sure that I start dropping at least a video or two a day. Start doing that for a while. But hopefully this weekend I'll be able to sit down and on my merch store and actually get more shirts made and get a logo going or something. I'm gonna start trying to put more content onto this and try to find my way, find my niche, and find out exactly what I want to do with this channel. Okay, I'll have to watch it. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll have to go watch it and do a reaction. Okay. Okay, I will definitely do that. Um, I'm I I think I'm going to end up investing in a GoPro, and I think I'm going to wear a GoPro while I go do photography, so that there'll be footage of what I'm doing, and I'll put the photos into the videos. Now, I'm not going to be able to drop as many videos on my second channel as I can do on this channel, because this channel, I get a topic, I speak on the topic. The editing isn't as bad, but like I can shoot like 2 hours worth of shit or 8 hours worth of shit and put it into a 15-minute video of on my second channel. So my second channel will start to have more content, but it's probably going to be like at most one video a week on that channel, and then I'll probably be dropping more content consistently on this channel. But if you guys want to check out any of my photography that I have, you can go to my Instagram, which is savage_red_recovery, and see my photography there. I do have an email. It's savageredrecovery@gmail.com. I do have a Patreon. I found out the reason that you can't search my name on the Patreon is because of I have it made as adult content. So because it's adult content, they don't allow people to search my name. You have to use my link in order to be able to actually see it. I didn't know that when I made it, or I wouldn't have done it that way. So I'm going to drop the Patreon down there for anyone that's not on it that wants to join. On Patreon, you can directly contact me. Like, I can see the live messages come in. If you guys, want to support or want to go there, I am going to be doing more racier topics on my Patreon. I'm going to be doing some stuff about 17, or the 17th letter of the alphabet movement, and more taboo topics like conspiracies. Those videos are going to they're going to take a little bit longer to put together and make, because there's a lot of rabbit holes and a lot of research and editing that have to go into them. But bear with me, guys. Just bear with me. I will get to all of that stuff. I do have a Cash App. I also have an Xbox Live account. It's Savage Mildew. If you guys play Apex Legends on Xbox, I play that from time to time. If you guys see me on there, you're more than welcome to join me. But the moral of this story is don't have children with women you don't know, and don't have children for just all willy-nilly. Be safe and take your ball home, guys. Well, that is the show. I love you guys. Thank you for the support. Stay savage, my savages.